I was laying in bed one night, half asleep, just mindlessly scrolling through my phone. You know those nights where you're not really looking for anything? You're just killing time. And I decided, you know what? Let's open up Minecraft on my phone. See what's on that old thing. And then I discovered something that almost brought me to the verge of tears. Stick around while I take you back to 2012, when Minecraft was young. What I found was an old world from 2012. I hadn't opened it up in 14 years. I couldn't believe it, because I changed like 10 phones over the course of the past 14 years. I was not expecting to see something that old on my current phone whatsoever. And honestly, I almost laughed, because I hadn't opened that thing in forever, and suddenly I felt like I had found an old photo album hidden away in a closet. Without really thinking, I pressed play. The loading screen felt longer than I remembered, and then there I was, standing in a plains biome. The sky was bright, the grass stretched forever, and of course there were no fancy graphics back then. Hell, we didn't even know anything about the game back then. It was all alien to me. And right in front of me was a tiny wooden house. My tiny wooden house. Honestly, calling it a house was generous. It was barely bigger than a box. The windows were uneven, the roof didn't match, and half the floor was made from different blocks because I had ran out of wood. But when I saw it, I smiled, because 8-year-old me thought this was a mansion. I slowly walked toward the front door, and as soon as I stepped inside, something strange happened. Memories started coming back. Not all at once, little pieces. Like hearing an old song you forgot existed. I remembered how scared I used to be. Back then, anything in Minecraft felt dangerous. The first night terrified me. Zombies weren't annoying, they were terrifying. Skeletons felt impossible, and caves? Forget caves. Because 8-year-old me treated caves like they were horror movies. So I built this house. Not because it looked good, not because I wanted something impressive. I built it because I wanted somewhere safe. And for a while, that tiny box was my entire world. I remember sitting inside during the night, waiting for the sun to come up, listening to monsters outside checking through the little glass windows every few seconds, too afraid to leave. But eventually mornings always came, and every morning I got a little braver. First I walked a few blocks, then I started collecting wood, eventually I made stone tools, and somehow little by little, the world became a home. I remember finding my first iron, and I thought I was rich. I remember making a chest, just to stare at the ingots. I didn't even know what to use them for. I just knew they were important. And when I finally crafted a full set of armor, I felt invincible. Not because I was, but because I was a kid. And when you're a kid, simple things feel magical. I walked outside of my old house and noticed something. A little wheat farm. Just 4 rows, surrounded by dirt. No fences, no organization, no automatic systems, just a tiny patch of wheat next to a pond. And suddenly I remembered how proud I was when it grew. I remember waiting forever for those crops, checking on them every few minutes like they were real plants. And when I finally harvested them, I felt accomplished. Looking at it now, it seems silly. But back then, it felt huge. Because back then, Minecraft wasn't about efficiency. Nobody cared about the fastest farms. Nobody cared about perfect building palettes. Nobody was racing to beat the Ender Dragon. First of all, because it didn't exist back then, but also because most of us didn't even know there was an ending. We just played. And somehow, that was enough. I kept walking, and eventually I found something that made me laugh. A random cobblestone pillar, just rising into the sky. No reason, no purpose, just a giant stack of cobblestone blocks. And instantly I remembered why. It was my beacon. Whenever I got lost, I looked for the pillar. That ugly tower was my lighthouse, my GPS, my way back home. And I remember feeling like a genius when I built it. Funny, isn't it? Because now I'd never built something so ugly. But maybe that's why I loved it. Because it wasn't trying to impress anyone. Nobody was watching. Nobody was judging. I wasn't building for YouTube. I wasn't building for screenshots. I wasn't comparing myself to anyone. I was just building things because they made me happy. And maybe that's what made those worlds so special. Not the builds, not the diamonds, not even the game itself, but the fact that for a few hours every day, nothing else mattered. Homework didn't matter. Growing up didn't matter. The future didn't matter. There was only this world, this peaceful, blocky world, and somehow that was enough. As I stood there, looking at that tiny wooden house after all these years, I realized something. I hadn't returned because I missed Minecraft. I had returned because I missed who I was when I first played it. I stood there for a while, not doing anything. Not mining, not crafting, just listening. It was funny. After all these years, the sounds hadn't changed. The sheep, the wind, the soft music that seemed to appear out of nowhere, and somehow all of it felt familiar. Like hearing the voice of someone you hadn't spoken to in years. I continued walking, past the wheat farm, past the little pond, past the ugly cobblestone tower that had somehow survived over a decade. And eventually I noticed something tucked away behind a hill. A staircase. Just a simple staircase made from cobblestone, leading underground, and immediately I knew what it was. My first mine. I smiled, because I already knew exactly what I was about to find. I descended slowly, torch after torch lined the walls, not evenly, of course. 8-year-old me apparently believed in placing torches wherever I felt like it. And then I saw them. Little side tunnels, dozens of them, stretching in every direction. I had no idea what branch mining was back then. I just dug. Whenever I thought diamonds might be nearby, I dug. Whenever I got bored, I dug. Whenever I heard lava, I definitely did not dig, though. I ran away. Because lava terrified me. Honestly, everything terrified me. I remember hearing cave sounds and immediately climbing back to the surface. Here's something I think all of you would relate to. I thought Herobrine was real. And don't pretend you didn't too. Because every shadow looked suspicious, every strange noise felt intentional, and every time a block appeared where I didn't remember placing one, I convinced myself I wasn't alone. Looking back now, it's funny. But back then it felt real. And somehow that made the world feel bigger, more mysterious, like anything could happen. I reached the bottom of the mine, and there it was, a little room, 2 furnaces, a crafting table, and a chest. The chest, I opened it, and I couldn't help but laugh because there were 6 iron ingots inside, 37 pieces of cobblestone, 3 feathers, 1 pork chop, and 2 diamonds. 2. And apparently I thought they were so valuable that I refused to use them. I had literally left them there for 14 years. It's strange, because to anyone else that chest was meaningless, but to me, it was proof. Proof that this world had existed. Proof that 8-year-old me had stood right here. Proof that somewhere, all those afternoons after school had actually happened. Because memories fade, but somehow blocks remember. I climbed back to the surface as the sun started to set. And then something caught my eye, a path. It wasn't much, just random blocks placed in the ground. But I remembered making it, and suddenly I remembered why. Because I wasn't alone in this world, not always at least. I had a friend. We played together almost every day. We weren't building massive castles, sure. We weren't beating bosses. Most of the time, we had absolutely no idea what we were doing. But none of that mattered. Because somehow, everything felt like an adventure. We'd spend an hour trying to move sheep into a pen, and fail. We'd get lost, argue over who accidentally hit the pigman. Spend 30 minutes looking for our stuff after dying, and somehow we'd laugh through all of it. Those weren't important moments. At least they didn't seem important to me at the time. But now, those are the moments I remember most. Not the diamonds, not the armor, not even the houses, just the laughter. Because sometimes, the things we think we will remember forever disappear. And the things we never pay attention to become the memories we treasure most. I followed the path, and eventually I reached another house, smaller than mine, made from dirt and wood. And immediately I remembered. This was his house, or maybe it was hers. It didn't matter. What mattered was that for a second, it felt like they had just logged off yesterday. Like any moment now, I'd see their name appear and would go right back to being kids again. But life doesn't work like that. People grow up, schools change, friends move away, years pass, and sometimes without realizing it, you say goodbye for the last time. Not because anyone wanted to, but because life just keeps moving. And that's what made standing here so strange, because this world had stayed. But we hadn't. This tiny world had waited patiently for over a decade. The houses stayed, the chests stayed, even the random cobblestone pillars stayed. Meanwhile, everything outside of it had changed. And honestly, that thought made me a little emotional. Because this wasn't just a Minecraft world anymore. It was a time capsule. A snapshot of a version of myself I'd almost forgotten. And maybe that's why nostalgia hurts sometimes. Not because we want to go backwards, but because for a moment, we get to meet someone that we used to be. And sometimes, we miss them. Not because life was perfect. Not because life was simpler. But back then, happiness was easy. A diamond, a new house, a successful trip to the mines, watching the sunset from the roof, that was enough. And maybe we've complicated things too much since then. Maybe we've forgotten how to enjoy small things. Maybe we've forgotten how to slow down. Maybe we have forgotten what it felt like to play without worrying about anything else. I don't know, but as the sun disappeared beneath the horizon, I climbed onto the roof of that tiny wooden house, the same roof I had sat on hundreds of times before, and I watched the sunset just like I used to. And for a moment, nothing else existed. No responsibilities, no worries, no future, no past, just me and this little world. And somewhere in the distance, that soft piano music began to play. And I swear, for just a second, it felt like I had come home. I stayed on that rooftop for long after the sun had disappeared. The stars slowly appeared above me, tiny stars, a square moon, things that should have looked ridiculous. But somehow they never did, because to me, this place had always been beautiful. Eventually, night came, and with it came something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Peace. Not excitement, not happiness. Just peace. The kind of peace that doesn't ask anything from you. The kind of peace that lets you simply exist. I climbed down from the roof and stepped inside my little house. Nothing had changed. The bed was still in the corner. The furnaces still sat against the wall. The chest was exactly where I remembered. And suddenly I remembered something funny. Back then, this was luxury. This tiny room, these few blocks, this bed. I remember logging off every night and feeling accomplished, like I had achieved something incredible. And honestly, maybe I had. Not because the house was impressive, but because I had built it. Block by block, mistake by mistake, and for some reason, that meant everything to me. I opened the chest one last time. Cobblestone, seeds, rotten flesh, things that nobody would even care about. But somehow I couldn't bring myself to throw any of these away. Because these weren't just items anymore. They were memories. And memories are strange. Sometimes they hide for years. That one random night they come rushing back. I laid down in the bed, not because I needed to, but because I remember doing that as a kid. Skipping the night, waiting for another day, and as the screen faded, I smiled, because I realized something. 8-year-old me had no idea who I'd become. He didn't know about the struggles ahead. He didn't know about the people I'd meet, or the people I would lose. He didn't know about responsibilities, or growing up, or how quickly time could disappear. But maybe that's okay. Because he wasn't thinking about any of that. He was thinking about finding diamonds. He was thinking about building a bigger house. He was thinking about whether pigs could climb ladders. He was thinking about absolutely ridiculous things. And honestly, I'm glad he was. Because somewhere along the way, we stop thinking like that. We start rushing. We start worrying. We start treating every day like something we have to survive instead of something we get to experience. And maybe that's why returning to this world felt so special, because for a few hours, I remembered. I remembered what it felt like to be amazed by simple things, to get excited over nothing, to laugh at mistakes, to build ugly houses and think they were masterpieces, to believe that the world was bigger than it really was. I remember wonder. And I think wonder is something we lose too easily. People say you can't go back, and maybe they're right. Maybe you truly can't. Maybe childhood only happens once. Maybe the friends we used to play with are gone. Maybe the afternoons after school have disappeared forever. Maybe life really has moved on. But I don't think those moments are gone. Not really. Because somewhere, they're still here. Inside old screenshots, inside forgotten songs, inside memories we haven't thought about in years. And somehow, inside a Minecraft world from 2012. I stood up from the bed and walked outside one final time. The sun was rising. Birds didn't exist in Minecraft, but somehow I could hear them anyway. Morning light covered the plains. The wheat farm, the cobblestone tower, the tiny wooden house. Everything looked exactly the same. And that's when I understood something. I hadn't returned because I missed Minecraft. Not really. I returned because I missed who I was when I played it. I missed the kid who could spend 3 hours building a bridge and call it the greatest thing ever. I missed the kid who thought 2 diamonds made him rich. I missed the kid who believed Herobrine lived behind every corner. I missed the kid who could lose track of time because he was happy. And standing there, looking out over a world made of blocks, I realized something else. That kid never really disappeared. Life got louder, that's all. Responsibilities got heavier. Years passed. That's it. But that wonder, that joy, that part of me that fell in love with this game, it never left. It was just waiting. Quietly, patiently, like an old friend. And after all these years, I finally came back. Before logging off, I took one last look around. Then I opened the menu. My finger hovered over the screen, and for a second I almost didn't want to leave. Not because I was afraid, but because goodbyes are so strange. Especially when you're saying goodbye to a place that helped raise you. Eventually I smiled, and I pressed save and quit. The screen faded, and just like that, I was back in my room, back in the present. But something felt different, because I hadn't spent the night playing a game. I'd spent the night visiting an old friend, and as I set my phone down and turned off the lights, I realized something that I don't think I'll ever forget. Sometimes we don't go back to old games because we miss the game itself. We go back because somewhere inside those worlds, a piece of us is still waiting. And maybe every now and then, it's okay to go back and say hello. A lot of people are probably wondering why I haven't showed you the world. And honestly, I don't think I ever will. Not because there's anything impressive hidden inside. Quite the opposite, actually. By today's standards, it's ugly. The houses are awkward, the farms are tiny, half the builds don't even make sense. But that's exactly why I love it, because that world wasn't built for YouTube. It wasn't built for views, or thumbnails, or anyone else. It was built by a kid who just wanted to have fun. Every misplaced block, every ugly roof, every random cobblestone tower, they're memories. And some things are too special to turn into content. Maybe one day I'll lose the world. Maybe one day the save file will disappear. But until then, I think I'd like to keep it exactly where it belongs. Not on a screen, not in a video, but in my memories. Because some worlds aren't meant to be shared with millions of people. Some worlds are meant to stay home. Thanks a ton for watching, gentlemen and ladies. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing. We're out here grinding, and your support means a lot to me. But for now, I'll leave you at the hands of the Starry Night once again. Take care, and I bid you farewell.